All the Young Dudes by MsKingBean89, Chapter 6, First Year, Revenge. So, James said on Sunday evening, how are we going to get them back? Get who back? Peter asked without looking up, searching through something in his notes. They were in the Gryffindor common room, trying to do their homework for McGonagall. 14 inches on the basic law of transfiguration. Sirius and James had already finished theirs. Peter was at least 6 inches in, and Remus hadn't started. "The Slytherins!" James hissed. "Keep up, Pete." "Not all the Slytherins?" Peter asked, sounding wearily. "Only Snape and Mulciber, right?" "All of them," Sirius confirmed. He had just appeared from under the desk where they were sharing, and presented a piece of parchment. "This what you were looking for?" "Thanks." Peter grabbed it, relieved. "I've nearly finished." "Have you done it, Lupin?" Sirius looked over. Remus had opened his book, but hadn't so much as looked at it. He'd considered cloistering himself in the library one evening and trying to read it properly. He could read it if he really, really focused, but the opportunity hadn't presented. And if he was honest, he didn't want to. Ever since the potions class, the four of them had become real friends, and Remus didn't want to miss out. "Nah," he shrugged in response for Sirius. "Can't be bothered." "Let us know if you need help. You can copy mine if you want." James pushed his across the desk. Remus pushed it back, gritting his teeth. "I'm fine. I'm not stupid." "No one said you were," James replied, casually. Sirius was looking at him, though. Remus wanted to hit him, but he was trying not to lash out so much. James and Sirius sometimes play wrestle, but they never actually try to hurt each other, like he had with Snape. Forcing himself to swallow his temper, Remus opted instead to change the subject. "We could put itching powder in their beds," he offered. Someone had done that to him once. He had a rash for a full week, and on the night of the full moon he had torn at his skin more than usual. Or on their clothes, if we could figure out who does the laundry anyway. This had been a matter of great concern for Remus. Their dirty laundry appeared to just vanish and then resurface, cleaned and folded in their trunks. He'd never caught anyone else in their room and couldn't understand it at all. "I like it," James replied, chewing his quill. "Anyone got any itching powder, though?" The three boys shook their heads. "Could order some from Zonks," Sirius put in. "If you let me borrow your owl, James. Mom confiscated mine after the sorting." "I suppose," James replied. "Wish we could do it sooner, though, strike while the iron is hot." "Don't need to buy itching powder," Remus said suddenly, having a brainwave. "Do you reckon they have rosehip in the greenhouse?" "Yep," Peter spoke, head still bowed over his homework. "For healing potions. Arthritis, I think. The hair inside makes you itch really bad," Remus explained, excited. "Matron, the woman who runs the children's home, she grows them, and if you get in trouble, she makes you seed them without gloves on." His fingertips itched just thinking about it. "That's awful," James said. "Good idea, though," Sirius grinned. "Next break, we'll go and get a load of them. Then we can seed them, with gloves on, and put them in the Slytherin's bedsheets." "Excellent." "How are we going to get into the Slytherin's dorm?" Peter asked, finally finishing his homework. "Leave that to me," James smirked mercilessly. Getting the rose hips was easy. They sent Peter, who was the only one of them who hadn't been given a detention yet, and was therefore under the least observation. Peter was small and good at going unseen. He crept into the greenhouse unnoticed during a morning break, and returned red-faced and gleeful, with a jar full of rosehips under his cloak. Then they'd all locked themselves away in their shared bedroom to seed all of the buds, under Remus's close instruction. They all wear their heaviest dragon hide gloves to do this, taking extra care not to touch the seeds or little fine hairs. "I can't wait to see the looks on their faces." Sirius was grinning, sitting cross-legged on the floor next to James. Remus watched, sitting on the edge of the bathtub. James and Sirius, two dark-headed, bowed over the work. He was a little bit jealous of their friendship. They had so much in common, being raised into magic, both growing up in wealth, both completely mad about Quidditch. In addition, it was clear that after only 3 weeks, James and Sirius had managed to secure a reputation as joint kings of the first years. Everyone listened to them when they spoke. Everyone laughed when they were funny. No one even got annoyed if they lost house points. I still don't know how we're going to get into the Slytherin common room. Dorms. The Slytherin dorms. Even Peter isn't that sneaky. Sirius glanced at James. He'd been trying to get him to reveal his plan ever since the bespectacled boy had mentioned it. "Let me worry about that," was all James said. The seeds and hair were then decanted into another jar, while the boys ended up eating the leftover rose hips over the course of the week. It was Thursday evening. It was Tuesday evening when they finally had their chance. James decided that they would have to do it before everyone went to bed. He also declared that they ought to go to the Slytherin dorms separately, to avoid being seen and discovered. Remus personally thought this was overkill, but went along with it, not wanting to ruin the other boys' fun. They ate dinner much more quickly than usual that evening, before getting up from the table one at a time and leaving the hall. Peter looked so nervous, Remus thought he might panic at the last minute and give them all away. He made sure to stay close to the smaller boy, just in case he had to cover his mouth or pull him back at some point. Sirius and James went first, of course, heading towards the girls' loo on the second floor, which Remus had told them led to the dungeons. He'd thought about keeping that particular passageway to himself, but as he already found a few other good hiding places by then, he reasoned that letting them know about this one wouldn't hurt. After all, how often would he want to get to the dungeons? The ghost who lived in the toilets was fortunately in a quiet mood, though Remus could hear her sobbing softly in the last stall. "Lead the way, then, Lupin," James gestured grandly. Once Remus and Peter arrived, Sirius grabbed his arms. "Wait, show us what you're planning first." James smirked, that annoying grin he'd been sporting since Sunday. "Oh, okay then. Here, hold this." He thrusted the jar of rosehip seeds into Sirius's hands, pulling back his robes. He produced a very long, voluminous cloak, woven from the strangest looking fabric Remus had ever seen, silvery gray and shimmery. "No!" Sirius gaped. "You haven't! Potter, you bloody haven't!" James was grinning so broadly now that Remus thought his face might split in two. The gangly boy winked at all of them, then, with a flourish, swept the cloak over his head, so that it covered him head to toe. He vanished. "You jammy bastard!" Sirius whooped. "How come you never told me?" "You never told me either," Peter squeaked. "And I've known you forever. Where'd you get it?" James pulled the hood of the cloak down, so that his head appeared to float in midair. It made Remus feel a bit queasy. "Been in the family for years," he said triumphantly. "Dad let me bring it. As long as I don't tell Mom." "Lucky jit," Sirius said, grabbing for some of the invisible material and rubbing it between his fingers. "My parents would do anything for the invisibility cloak." "I reckon we can all fit under it," James demonstrated, pulling it apart and lifting and raising his arms like a bat.